But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CVRcade World Cup Racing. I'm Beth York, and we are zooming into Zone S tonight for the CVR World Cup racing here in the bracketed season. We are racing for the top spot for the weekend. 2 riders from this Omnium will go through. We have another race at Zone T in an hour. 2 races from that zone will go to. But first, the matter at hand. You can see the course tonight. This is Electronic Rush, and this is our no-skill event. And we call that a no-skill event because there's no crashing. You have quantum shift on so you can slide through other riders. So the lane positioning and drafting is important, but it is not a lot of skill other than timing a sprint. And this is one of the lower multipliers of the night. We are about 3 minutes from racing, but we've also got Fantastic Alien Sea, Lakeview Lanes, Dark Matter Spire, and Country Rally all coming up in this Omnium. And we saw 3 hours of this racing earlier, and it was brutal. So I kind of want to know what's going on in the minds of our racers tonight. We've got Jennifer Garcia standing by here, who's been racing, has won the spot here. Hey, Jennifer, how you feeling tonight?
Hi, I'm super excited. I think tonight is going to be a lot of fun. I got really lucky with the group of people that I'm with. I know the one after this is going to be absolutely crazy. I was just talking to my dad about it. But I'm feeling really good. Definitely ready for this. So anything can happen, but trying to remain positive.
Well, you have your friend Casey, who you'll be racing head-to-head against, and also Daniel from Team Cognition. So without having teammates in here, how do you think you guys might work together, or is it every person for themselves?
I think it's going to depend. I mean, I think Casey he has been the strongest out of the group. We have worked together in the past. That might end up happening, but I have a feeling he's just going to be right out the gate and tearing us down throughout these, which is totally cool. So Daniel really and I are pretty much, in my opinion, at the same kind of skill and ability and everything. So I'm really focusing on how I'm going to be competing with Daniel for that second spot.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Jennifer. Daniel's not on the broadcast we don't want his internet to explode. I had that experience earlier. Let's check in with Casey. Casey, one of our other fan favorites here from our usually Zone T, so Racing Zone S. How you feeling tonight? A little over a minute to go.
I'm feeling good. Nice and hydrated. Took a nice, easy day today, and we're ready to go.
All right. Any surprises that we might see here in this head-to-head racing across the Omnium?
I don't know about surprises. Not much room for mistakes. Only 3 riders. Third place, you can be on the podium and be dead last. So, but you can also be dead last and not lose many points. So it's a challenge.
All right. Well, just under 45 seconds to go. I'll let you get your head back into the racing here. This is Electronic Rush. It is just 3 laps. And again, we have Uncrashable as an ability, Quantum Shift as an ability, Corner Caper as an ability, and they have one comeback kid. And we've seen how that's played out on this course. Jennifer is really strong on this course. Usually she has her teammate Aaron in here where they can trade attacks and see who might come across the line first. But tonight, she is going to see what she can bring, show her skill. I am going to be watching closely on this, but Daniel also has been coming a long way with this course. So in 5 seconds, they are going to take it out of the gate here for 3 quick laps. It's almost going to be over before you know it. Here we are on board with Jennifer. She is just punching it out of the gate. You can tell that Casey's there right in front. She's not going to lose his wheel. She wants to stay on his wheel. Here's the helicopter view. Casey up out of the saddle. battle. Well, 1, 2, 3, Casey, Daniel, Jennifer. Nobody is going to be able to really get away. Jennifer just a little bit off the back here by a second or two, but that's nothing to be concerned about. But just 0.8 kilometers to go. This race is so fast. It does look like Jennifer's fighting to get into that draft a little bit. She needs to dig in, and with 0.6 kilometers to go, I know she's thinking about the timing of any move that she may make. Daniel out in the front, taking on the wind. Casey and Daniel kind of trading places, phasing through each other. 0.5 kilometers to go. You can see their heart rates are already up there, 187. They're only like a minute and a half into the racing, and these guys' heart rates are already pumping. And 0.3 kilometers to go, 1 lap to go. Casey here drafting, you can see his legs just a little bit slower, kind of not wanting to lose the draft before he launches it. You see Jennifer does launch her comeback kid, and is it going to be enough to slingshot her around? She's digging in. She does come across the front, 0.2 kilometers to go, underneath the tunnel, through the swirly cues, and around the corner. Can she hold on to it? But Daniel does his comeback kid, and he's going to slingshot around. But is he not? Is it going to be Jennifer? It is Jennifer. She sits up. Daniel, then Casey. That was a race. She did play that there to perfection. 1, 2, 3 in that race. Here's the replay here. Jennifer was a little bit sliding off the back, but she was not worried. Casey starts to add the power. He can see her coming, and then she activates her comeback kid, which gives her about 367 extra power. She slingshots through the group and continues, and this is the move that you need to do. You need to keep the pressure on the pedals. You need to keep it, because someone else, as we saw, was going to use their comeback kid, but it just was a little too late to touch Jennifer. Jennifer, congratulations on that race. How are you feeling?
I was a little worried there, Beth. I got off from them, and I didn't want to exert all of my energy. I know it was only a second, but I was like, damn, they're going. So I decided then and there I would keep the distance and use the comeback kid at 0.2. 0.2 seems to be a sweet spot. It worked, so.
It served you well. Well, congratulations on that. You definitely, we did see that in the earlier races where people were trying to temper their energy, time it, and it does look like people were going just a little bit later. I've seen people go a little bit sooner than that, but that feels good. Congratulations. You're sitting on the top step right now. One-time multiplier, but fantastic Alien C, Jennifer. After that big move, after all of that power, that sprint, how are you feeling coming into fantastic Alien C?
Feeling tired. I think we have enough time to regain a little bit of ourselves after that, or at least I do. This one is very interesting to me. I don't have a ton of experience on this, so I'm going to be playing it very safe. Yeah.
Well, we do have 3 laps, 1 weightlifted, 1 wind at your back, and some wind out on course. So how we saw in the earlier races, did you get a chance to watch any of the earlier races?
I did, and I think it's super, super helpful to be able to do that. So I'm really thankful for that. This one in particular, I can't remember exactly how the dynamics played out. So that's unfortunate, but it's always good to look towards your competitors. I think this one we're going to probably be together for a lot of it, because it is a little bit longer, unless someone gets out there and gets a big head start. So I might play off what other people are doing.
Gotcha. Well, you just have under 2 minutes. I'll let you get back into the game here. Casey, just over a minute and a half left to go. You are sitting, took third on that race. Fantastic Alien C. We're going to a high skill event here with a couple power-ups and wind. What are you thinking on this course?
This is where the suffering really starts, I believe. First, well played to Jen. She had us sitting ducks on that last course. She played it perfect, so kudos to her. This one's time to suffer. I believe it's the longest race of the night, and it's time to get some points back.
Time to get some points back. Well, just over a minute to go, Casey. You're right. This is one where we did see racers in the earlier omniums kind of deciding how hard they wanted to work, how they knew that they had Lakeview lanes ahead of them, and good luck to you. And Daniel also in the mix there. Don't forget about Daniel here. He is sitting second here on after that first, but that is just one race. That is just one race of this Omnium, and that was the lowest score multiplier. So that does not decide the Omnium not anywhere close. I think we were 2 races in, and the first 2 races are only like 1/3 of the total points on the night. So just under 30 seconds to go. Fantastic Alien Sea. Again, 1 weight lifted, 1 wind at your back, 3 laps. So when those get played are going to be really interesting. And we do have the ability to crash on this course, because uncrashable is not an ability. So the corner speeds, all of those things are going to be very important to watch. And we get underway in just 5 seconds here. We know they're going to come up out of the saddle, start winding it up. Jennifer there smiling, talking to her team captain there, up out of the saddle, and they are out of the gate and off they go. So Jennifer digging in, not wanting to be left out of the mix here, as she always is, finding herself on the front here with Casey, making sure she stays on this first climb. You can see she is focused, and she's going to tuck herself right into the draft. There's a little bit of a bump, I think, when she came in a little bit hot, but that's why she does not want to close, does not want that gap to start on this first climb. So Casey, Daniel, Jennifer, 1, 2, 3, starting the climb on Fantastic Alien Sea. Now, this is the one too where earlier we saw, maybe someone setting the pace at the front. They're not too worried about taking the draft right now. You can see Casey's kind of setting a pace. He's under 300 equalized watts. His heart rate's 178, 179. So he is working. Jennifer as well. Her heart rate's a little bit higher. And also Daniel is also a little bit higher here. So they might be feeling, Jennifer's probably feeling the effects of the last race with that last massive effort. But here side by side, Casey and Jennifer working hard on this first lap of Fantastic Alien Sea. And since, usually you might see someone make an early launch off the front on this course, but we're on a race like this, but without teammates in the mix, without a larger field where we're doing these head-to-head races, it's really about these 3 racers, and they're going to be testing out the legs a little bit of their competitors. How much do they want to save? How much do they want to have their competitors think they have here? And when you're streaming it and you're seeing the heart rates, it reveals how the racers are feeling, and you can see that Casey's feeling pretty relaxed here on the front. And he knows Lakeview Lanes is Lakeview Lanes. I'm calling it that. That is the right name. I was calling it Lakeside earlier. Lakeview Lanes is also going to be a very, very challenging race. So knowing the courses, knowing what your legs can bring to the table, but wait, little bit of attack there by Casey. He's like, no, Beth, I am not going to be just chugging along at 300 equalized watts. I'm going to give it a little bit of digger and see if I can shake one of these riders. But Daniel says, nope, you're not going to shake me. It's not going to be me. 500 equalized watts from Daniel, answers it and says, all right, I came to play, Casey. You're going to give me attack. Boom, take that. So the punches are starting to fly a little bit early here on this race, still on the first lap. Daniel on the front. Casey here, you can see this is one where, earlier I raced this and I made a mistake. On the second lap where I was trying to tuck myself in the draft and find an open lane and cut someone else out of the draft, and made the lane change on a corner. So got to get yourself into the draft. You got to stay protected. And right now Jennifer's trying to close down those 2 seconds. And I know what that feels like. You see them, you can almost reach out and touch them with your hand. And here's one spot where you can try to get them on the descent, but you do need to watch those corner speeds. So we did see it earlier, Omnium, where Allison, who is a very technical racer, was really just baiting the competitors to try to chase her down. And she was just riding that hairy edge of the corner speed to try to force a mistake from the competitor. Because if you feel like, oh my God, it's only the first lap, I don't want to get dropped, and then you start to overcook it on these corners and you don't keep your calm, you can get a mistake. You can get your competitor to force a mistake. But Casey, comfortable on the front, a couple seconds up from Daniel. And then, we do see Daniel go down. And Casey, I think he might have just forced that mistake into that last corner. So Daniel there may have just lost his head for a quick moment. I didn't see what his corner speed was coming around that corner, but you only make that mistake once. And I'll say that, but that's not true, because you will make that mistake again. Not in this race, Daniel. You won't make it in this race, but I can tell you that I've made that mistake a number of times. So don't make the same mistake twice. Let's learn from that. So does he use his power up? Does he use his power up at this point and say, I'm going to come back? He is punching in the power, 400 equalized watts, trying to close that down, just 4 seconds down. And I don't know if he has his teammate Modi or Allison in his ear saying, okay, Daniel, 3 seconds you can make up. You want to get as many points as you can on this race. It didn't set you back far enough where you should just take a vacation on this one and try to make up the points later. Close that gap now, Daniel. Don't let them get away. Take as many points as you can, because Fantastic Alien C has a 2-time multiplier, and every point matters. When you're talking about just the steps, 1, 2, 3 steps, sometimes I think earlier we saw like a 0.5 difference between 2 and 3 or 1 and 2. And here's the scoreboard as you can see it here. Casey, if they finish in this position, Casey, Jennifer, Daniel, and you can see those provisional scores in race 2 with the point multipliers. So we do really need, Daniel does need to close that down and try to scoop up as many points as he possibly can. And it looks like he has made his way back to Jennifer. Now, Jennifer and Daniel are in an interesting position. So Casey only 4 or 5 seconds up the way. And with a lap and a half to go here, that is not a huge gap to make up. So do Daniel and Jennifer want to work together to close it to Casey, or do they just want to duke it out for second place here? That's kind of the question here, that they're going to be pacing each other out. You can see Jennifer on the front, 300 equalized watts. Daniel just sucking into her draft, sticking in there, saying, okay, I will let you pace me. So Jennifer here is in a position where, she can set the pace and Daniel can draft. And if Daniel doesn't like the pace, he can come around, but he is getting a little bit more rest, although his heart rate is 194. So it might be costing him a little bit more. I think he might be a little more fatigued coming into this race. Back on board here with Casey side by side with Jennifer here. We can see 4.1 kilometers to go. Casey just 400 equalized watts, really starting to push that pace a little bit more here, saying, okay, here we go, guys. I am going to make it to the top of this climb. And he knows that if he gets to the top of the climb and he can get to that little flat and then hit the descent, he can open up that gap a little bit more while the riders behind them are still making that final little climb. So the speed differential of these guys pulling up on the back and him taking off on the front, he can really open up, and he does get that gap just about 5 seconds here. And he starts to dig in, and he knows 600 equalized watts. Just trying to put a final exclamation point at the end of the sentence here, trying to just psych them out, saying, you know what, if I get enough of a gap here, you will not come to chase me. So 17 seconds there on Jennifer and Daniel. So that probably they could, I don't think anyone's used their power-ups yet. They do have to be careful here on the descent, but it is a good point of where you can make up some speed. But again, this is a point where you don't want to get baited. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to use the descent to close the gap, because you do have some speed constraints. So it's very important to watch the speed descents here. At the bottom of the hill, it looks like Casey's making his way at the bottom of the hill, and then you have 1 lap to go. But the duking it out here is going to be between Jennifer and Daniel, but Jennifer does zoom out a little bit ahead here, 42 kilometers per hour coming into this next bend. She's minding the corner speed, and she goes down. Oh, that's painful. But so does Daniel. Oh, the two of them, they both have a chance here. So it does not give either one of them an advantage. Do they use their power-ups now, or do they save it to the end? I think they save it to the end, because right now they're well matched. They're side by side, but that does send Casey another 20 seconds up, 30 seconds up the road here. So he is looking, with 1 lap to go, he is looking safer and safer. That little dig he gave at the top of the climb on the flat while his competitors were still climbing, he opened up his gap from 5 seconds to 17 seconds. And now 330, 50 equalized watts. He's still pushing there on the front because he does not want to give them any chance of coming back. So he does have his heart rate 182. He's not, definitely is an uncomfortable spot to be, but it is not him stepping back saying like, okay, now I've got this in the bag. So he is just keeping a steady power, making sure that he does all the things to maintain that distance. But Daniel and Jennifer here, the heart rate on Daniel 198, the heart rate on Jennifer 190, and 200 is the max heart rate. Everyone's heart rate is equalized to 200. So if your heart rate, and you have a heart rate monitor on and it says your max heart rate is 180, boom, in the game it's 200. If your heart rate max heart rate is 195, boom, it's 200 in the game. And that allows the racers to do a physiological assessment of their competitors. They can say, how much is my effort costing me? What is the physiological effect of the effort that I'm putting into the game? I'm cranking on the pedals, I'm pushing. And you can see here how hard Jennifer is working, but she's working a little less than Daniel because she is trying to work her way into that draft here. And if you do look at the differential on the watts there, you can tell that he's putting out a little bit more watts and it's costing him a little bit more too. So 1.4 kilometers with Casey on the front. It looks like he has really sealed it up, but he's still digging in. He's using his weight lifted 450 equalized watts. And he is a good 20 seconds up the road, but he does not want to take any chances. He wants all the points on this 2-time multiplier course here. So back on board with Jennifer and Daniel. This is where they need to be careful. Daniel mounts his attack, 800 equalized watts. Jennifer matches with her weight lifted and her wind at her back there. They are both digging in, and this is where what it's going to come down to. So we are seeing here 500 equalized watts, but Daniel does go down. Too much power. Did not watch the corner speed, which gives Jennifer the opportunity here to take that second spot win, but she needs to continue. She needs to hang on. You can tell here that she is talking. She has the ability to talk. She's listening to her team captain. There's the replay here. She dropped the winner back. She comes around Daniel. Daniel's trying to answer, but he does crash down. And I'm not sure if he changed the lane or if he exceeded the corner speed, but Jennifer came around him. He got a little nervous and she was able to force the mistake. So right now, Jennifer, 20 seconds up from Daniel on the descent. You can see her taking a little bit of a breather here, 42 kph, Daniel 38 kph. And as she watches that speed differential, she's watching the gap. And back on board with Casey, his hand on the keyboard, he's coming back around the final 2 turns of Fantastic Alien Sea there. You just saw the leaderboard dropped in. This is the last corner coming around. It's a tight corner. He slows down ever so much, perfectly executed on that corner, comes up out of the saddle. He's going to finish it strong, but he does finish with a heart rate of 155, which is probably a tempo zone for him. So that's going to suit him well in the next race. He made the attack where he needed to, opened up the gap where he needed to, and then forced some mistakes out of Daniel and Jennifer on the descent. Jennifer coming through the fog, making her way to the finish line, and she will take second place on this Fantastic Alien Sea, and then Daniel just a few seconds back. You can tell she's happy with that. A couple mistakes, but Daniel also made the mistakes here. Back on board. Here's the replay. Here's Casey crossing the line again, was able to make those attacks on the second lap and then do a little bit of recovery once he was certain that he had enough of a gap that both Daniel and Jennifer couldn't make up. Jennifer did say at the beginning of the race that she and Daniel are pretty well matched, and that really showed out on this course where Jennifer and Daniel both made the same mistake at the same time. Hey, Casey, congratulations on your win there.
Thanks, Beth. That was good.
Yeah, well, I think that you played that really smart. I think you gave it where you had to give it. I thought you gave a little more than you needed to, but you were like cooking, and you really showed your might out there. How are you feeling now coming into Lakeview?
I feel pretty good now. That was a good race. Just went hard early, and they kind of made a few mistakes behind me that gave me the gap, and I kept the pressure on until the second wreck. Really. Once you let off, your body kind of has a hard time picking back up if they start closing it. So I prefer to stay on it until I know I'm super comfortable, and then I backed off.
Yeah, well, I did see you kind of at that same spot, at that little flat spot before that last little kicker, kind of give a little bit of a dig just to seal the deal, to make sure people knew that, like, you know, that just to makes it feel unsurmountable. And it did force another a mistake here. So we have Lakeview lanes next. This is the highest multiplier on the night. 3 laps, 2.5 multiplier, 1 Razor's Edge, 1 power plant, and wind. So about 4 minutes to go. With wind out on course, with those power-ups, have you had a chance to practice those on this course?
I have never ridden this course, ever. I grabbed the controller about an hour ago, and I did 2 laps on the controller just to know where the barriers are. So we're going to see how we do.
We're going to see how we do. Well, this has it's actually one of my favorite tracks now because it's deceptively difficult, particularly with the wind. And we know that so many of the racers are really skilled at hitting the corner speed and sliding out ever so slightly, but then it might put you in the wrong place. So, watch the wind speeds on that. And how about now with a course like this, do you see your power-ups being used out of the gate, or are you going to be more responding to what your competition does?
I think it'll depend on how the race shapes up. I'd be cautious. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Don't want to give it away. I tried to ask you in a way that might have you give away a tactic, but keep those poker cards to your chest, Casey. I love you, man. I'm going to check in. You are on the top of the leaderboard here. Jennifer's just 12 points behind you, and then 14 points back is Daniel. So, Jennifer, how are you feeling going into Lakeview after your fantastic Alien Sea adventure?
Tired again. You go really hard. I mean, I already go hard on CVR, and now it's like just next level with how bad I think we all want to be in these Saturday races. So it's a new level of brutal. I got really lucky. I honestly, my heart goes out to Daniel, because when I crash, I just get so flustered, and I know that we were like right head and head, and when he crashed at that one spot, I was thankful, but I also, that hurts, so I feel bad. The silly mistakes can put effort to a dampen, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully no silly mistakes on any of our parts, but.
Well, you had that early crash. You both had that crash, and I thought, I was like, oh, this is going to give one of the favor, but you both crashed at the same time, so you both sort of had equal opportunity there to duke it out. And then when he made the attack and you answered with the wind at your back and he crashed out, that was actually some brilliant racing on your part. So, it does sting the competitor, but you're fierce. Own it, sister. Own your fierce inner beast and beast this one out. So you're welcome. And good luck to Daniel as well. We are about just over a minute. I'll let you get back in the team car so you can get focused, get those legs spinning out. So again, Lakeview lanes, 3 laps. There are barriers throughout. And here we are, the leaderboard. We've got Casey, Jennifer, and Daniel. So those are the positions. And this is the 3rd race of a 5-race Omnium here for Zone S. And we have another zone coming up at zone 10 o'clock Eastern time for Zone T. All of these racers in the zones today are racing for a spot on Saturday. Saturday, 2 racers from each Omnium will be seated and go to the finale on Saturday, and then next week is the grand finale. This weekend, first place $3,000, second place $1,500, third place $1,000. So lots of zeros, lots of money on offer here for the weekend, and then even more next week. So the pressure is on. The racers are feeling it. Mistakes might happen, but you can see here Casey, who did say I just went on with the controller earlier, so he has been learning the course. 10 seconds to go. We'll see what what he brings to this course. super smart racer. If anyone can kind of go into it cold, I know that he will be able to do it here. Out of the gate, we are just digging in here. Casey, 700 equalized watts. Daniel matching that 600 equalized watts here. Coming on the inside corner here, the wind starts to shift around on this course here. Daniel, excuse me, Casey and Jennifer here side by side. We've got those first barriers. Now there are about, I think there's 7 lanes or 8 lanes across here. So you're constantly trying to put yourself in the right lane before you get to the barrier. You don't want to find yourself reacting. And with these 3-4 up racers, it's a little bit easier to think about what it is than when you have a bigger field, but still you can find yourself in the wrong position. And drafting is really important on this one because a 14-kilometer-per-hour headwind is going to do it. Now, if we look at the finishing position there, it was just on screen here. If they do finish in this position with Daniel, then Jennifer, it does change the leaderboard. Casey came into this race on the top spot in terms of points, but if Jennifer is able to hold that position there, she will be able to take some points away from Casey and pop him down to third. So Daniel also has to maintain that front position if he wants to get himself to the second step and try to get on through. This is only the third race. There are 2 more races after that, but they know that this is where it all matters. You can have a lower finishing in Electronic Rush, the one-time multiplier. You can maybe make a mistake on Fantastic Alien Sea, but now you cannot. You have to bring your legs and you have to bring your mind. You cannot let any of those check out. And on Lakeview Lanes, it's one of the courses that almost feels like a time trial. Like it almost, like when I'm racing this course, I almost want to just I put my head down, it's flat and there's some wind and I want to put myself in my aero bars and I just want to dig in, but you can't look away. You can't relax. You are constantly chasing the draft. And this is a high school event too. So as you're changing lanes and as you're trying to find protection, you are taking the danger of a crash. So you want to ride that wheel. You want to get as close as you can to take advantage. You're cutting through the air and you're creating wind. And then there's wind on course that's slowing you down even more. So Jennifer here on the front, making sure she's in the right position before she gets to the barrier. Well played. 5.3 kilometers left on this course. They're still on their first lap of 3. So now the racers are starting to say, okay, this is what the wind feels like. This is the positioning that I want to be in. Jennifer, 192 equalized heart rate there. She's going 46 kph. Casey's coming up. You can see he's doing a little less, being able to try to close that gap there on Daniel. Daniel coming in on Casey. And what you'll see here is that these racers, the closer they get to the wheel in front of them, the more benefit the draft. And so now they're coming back around the final bend before they go into lap 2. It looks like Casey is putting down a little bit, not really an attack. He's just kind of getting himself a couple seconds ahead of Jennifer, saying, okay, I'm going to start to chip away at it. And here comes the power. Now he drops it down because he knows what the corner speeds are. He knows that he wants to get himself in the position. He doesn't want to give anybody a ride. I don't think he's trying to just make a huge break here, or maybe he is. He does another little dig in. I think more he's just trying to give himself a little bit of distance so that he can choose what lane he wants to be in, and he doesn't want anyone drafting and taking advantage of him. If he's like, I'm going to deal with the wind and I'm going to have to do it, I am going to not take you with me. So 2 or 3 seconds up the road here. Now, if Casey, we just saw that if Jennifer takes the front spot, she can bump Casey down. But Casey now came into this race on the top spot. And if he finishes top here, he will also take the first spot. But Daniel, what Daniel needs to do is Daniel needs to use Jennifer and get himself up to Casey. He needs to take points. We saw earlier that if he can win this race, he can put himself in going into Dark Matter Spire in the second slot position. And that's what he wants to do, because mathematically, he needs the points more. He needs the points the most. And I found myself in this exact spot, Daniel. So whatever you need to do, you need to just pound those pedals. You need to get back, and you need to get to Casey, and you need to overtake Casey on this race. Of course, they do know they have Dark Matter Spire coming up, which is a lower skill event, a little less multiplier. So this is the one where you get the most points. 2.5 multiplier. The next race, 1.5 multiplier. So yeah, you want to save a little bit of your legs, but you really want to get most of the points here. So don't leave anything on the table. And that's what Casey knows. Casey's got 450. He's bouncing around over 400 equalized watts. His heart rate 187 here. So he is making sure, he's like saying, no, Beth, I'm going to just show everybody that Daniel and Jennifer aren't going to catch me. And it does look like he's opening it up to 6 or 7 seconds. And that's when you start to do, if you're Jennifer, you start to do the calculus. How far am I away from Daniel? I don't think she wants to drop back 3 or 4 seconds and work with Daniel. I think she wants to leave him in the dust. No offense, Daniel, but she doesn't want to take you with her either, because she's not going to give you a chance to out sprint her at the end here. So Casey, just a little bit up the road from Jennifer, but Jennifer 192 on her heart rate, and Daniel does go down. Those two closed lanes, he might have just lost himself here. It's very deceptive when you come around that corner. Both two of the outside lanes on each side are obstructed. And if you think it's just one, you can kind of make that mistake. Oh, that's painful. So right now, Casey, Jennifer, Daniel, if they finish in this position, Casey will be on the top of the leaderboard, Jennifer in second, and Daniel in third. So that's the replay there of him hitting hitting the rails here. So if he didn't use his power-ups, this is the time to use his power-ups. Or he might just be saying, you know what? 20 seconds is too much. I am going to take my chances, and I'm going to try to get, I'm going to destroy myself. We've seen Daniel do well on Dark Matter Spire, which is coming up in just 2.2 kilometers here to go. So maybe he's thinking he can get enough points. The spread right now, Jennifer and Casey are 10 points away, and Daniel is just under 10 points. Wow. Yeah. So he's 8.5 points away from Jennifer. So he's making a calculation of, like, if I can win the next race, 1.5 points times the multiplier, if I can win that next race and maybe upset Jennifer's position here. So right now, side by side, Casey and Jennifer, I think the two of them just maintain the gaps. If Jennifer does win this, she will get more points, but it might cost her in the other races. So I think it's just a matter of how she might be feeling. But Daniel does drop his power up, both his wind at his back and his weight lifted. So he does use that power up and says, okay, guys, you know what? I am not going to let this get away from me. But he does use it there. I think he's still facing the headwind there. So you can see that he didn't have any worry of crashing on that corner. He could have if he was getting that tailwind. You have to be careful when you use Razor's Edge on this course, depending on the winds. And he played it at a good spot to get max speed. Casey also using his power-ups here, both wind at his back and power plant. He does see that he's coming into that corner. He's watching his speed because he knows he's not sure perhaps of what the speed was. Yeah, it was close. Sliding. Yeah. That was really cool. But he did use his power-ups. He did watch his corner speed, and he managed to not crash. So his recon on the keyboard paying off there, but he did use it with the wind kind of giving him the push on the back. So he had a chance there to exceed, but he was able to keep it and play it safe. Jennifer, just about 10 steps from Casey here. It does look like Casey with 0.8 kilometers to go is not going to be caught. Jennifer is just maintaining her speed here. Still over 300 equalized watts, 191 on the heart rate. She's never, ever, ever let up. So, it's kind of this thing where you're like, so she's not going to go get him, but she's still laying down some power. It does look like she's softened just a little bit here coming in, knowing that Casey's going to be coming across the line in about half a kilometer. So Casey does play this course well. He uses his power-ups on the third and final lap. Again, just to give enough distance, just to help Jennifer know that she can't. She's not going to be able to do it. So Casey, 75 points through this race. Jennifer, 65, and Daniel, 57.5. So really close on the points. 10 between 1 and 2, and 8.5 there between, if I'm doing my math, like nobody check my math, please. Nobody, 7.5. Nobody check my math here. Jesper and I are really good with basic arithmetic. Casey's laughing at me. Well done coming across the line there, Casey. And then Jennifer makes the final turn and comes across the line, and Daniel will not be far behind here. But that is Lakeview Lanes. That is Lakeview Lanes with wind. Casey does take another win on this course. But next is Dark Matter Spire. It is a lower skill event. Dark Matter Spire is a race that, how much do these racers have left? That is going to be the question. How much did they save? And as we watch the replay, Jennifer comes across the line. We will be able to check in with Casey. Hey, Casey, were you laughing at my math? Were you laughing?
I was laughing at your math, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, close enough. Yeah, it's it's
better than Jesper's math. We know that. It's better than Jesper's math.
I just put a little ISH at the end of a number, like ish. It's ish. But great racing on that. How was that? How did that feel for you on your first race on Lakeview Lanes? You obviously took the race. You played it smart. How did you feel about that?
That was fun. Jesper's texting me. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that course. Raced patient. I know it didn't look patient, but I didn't do anything until I kind of found my way to the front, and there was just a good time where they let a little gap go with a little crosswind, and I just eked the gap out a little bit at a time.
Well, that was really some smart racing, some smart racing here. Coming into Dark Matter Spire, we have 1.5 multiplier, uncrashable ability, 1 quantum shift, and 1 weight lifted. How do you see those playing out?
The weight lifted's a little help. With just 3 riders, the quantum shift isn't a huge deal. You can kind of take it or leave it. Especially with the people in this race, we typically don't play a lot of hip checking and that. So I think it's just somebody's going to use the weight lifted to either take a breath or make an attack. And it'll be pretty straight up racing here, I think.
Pretty straight up racing. And we do, with this 4.7 kilometers to go, with Fantastic Alien Sea on the rear view, with Lakeview Lanes in the rear view, and Country Rally coming up. How are the legs?
I feel good. As one of our old LA friends said, I've got one more. I've always got one more in me. So.
All right. Well, just over 3 minutes to go. I'm going to check in with Jennifer, Miss Jennifer Garcia there. How are you feeling? Lakeview Lanes. You've raced that before, I believe.
Yes, I have. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy I didn't crash as many times as I did the first time. That was a lot of fun. Really interesting, especially in this 3-person omnium right now, how the drafting is just, it's done. You're just going for that, however many, kilometers it is. And once everyone separates, you're doing it. It's all you. And it was interesting, the gaps we had between everyone. They were just long enough that it was just hard enough to catch the other person. Which again, as I said before, makes it absolutely brutal. But I'm happy with second, so.
Well, I think it's some really smart racing here, and you are just 10 points behind Casey, but you do have just a slimmer lead on Daniel for third. So, is this race coming up yours to win? Are you feeling like you can take it all, or are you worried about Daniel, who might be trying to scoop up some points after that crash on Lakeview?
Oh man, I'm real worried. I want this badly. So I might kill myself on this one. Yet to be decided. I know Country Rally there at the end is a lot more technical, and I'm gonna have to be paying a lot more attention. So now might be the time for people to use their energy. I probably shouldn't say that, but I think everyone is aware. So we'll see. This one could be even more brutal than the last two.
Yeah, I think so. Just under 2 minutes to go. I'll let you get yourself get collected here. We are in the bracket season of CVRcade World Cup Racing. These racers have raced 7 weeks to get to this point, and the points that they accumulated over those 7 weeks created a seeding for them. And then they were seated in these omniums over 7 omniums over Tuesday and Thursday this week, where we're going to be racing on Saturday. 2 racers from each of the 7 omniums will be going into the finals on Saturday, and then that racing will shake up, and they're going to be racing for $3,000 for the top step, $1,500 in second, and $1,000 in third. There's lots of money up for offer here, and they are duking it out. And the intensity that we've seen all day, we saw 3 hours of racing earlier today. We saw the intensity here. You can see in the replay here of Jennifer forcing Daniel to make a crash. You can see Casey having a good time up the front, but he is all business all the time. Just under a minute to go, just over 30 seconds to go before we get onto Dark Matter Spire. And this race has a 1.5 multiplier. So Electronic Rush was the low skill event, 1-time multiplier. Fantastic Alien Sea was a little more challenging, a 2-time multiplier. Lakeview Lanes was the most technical course, the longest course, a 2.5 multiplier. But we are not done yet. Dark Matter Spire on crashable ability, 1 quantum shift, 1 weight lifted. And as Casey did say, the weight lifted is kind of an underpowered power up. It's not something that can make a huge difference, but it does make a difference. And where they use it, I think this far in, it can make a difference. Up out of the saddle, you can see Casey digging in, go, sprinting out of the gate here, trying to get his position established. Now, the first 10 seconds of the race, you do have quantum shift as an ability, which means that as you're jockeying for position, you are able to phase through one another. Jennifer just comes out of the gate with a massive attack, 600 equalized watts. She just flew by them in that first 10 seconds. She's got 3 seconds up on Casey, and she is off. She goes here. Now, if she finishes in this spot and Casey finishes in second, Casey still maintains his top spot, but that does upset Daniel a little bit here in the racing here. So as we go, you can see the lane changing here, where Casey is going to say, "Okay, Daniel, I am going to take you. I'm not going to let you take me for a ride. I'm going to take you here for a ride." And in the standings here right now, the only thing that actually separates Jennifer and Casey is 0.5. 0.5 if this is the finishing position here for 1 and 2. And then Daniel a little bit further back by about 20 points. So Daniel does have a lot of points to try to make up here. So he does need to go get Jennifer, or he might see himself out of this race. But Jennifer on the front, 192 equalized heart rate, and she is just absolutely cooking there. She has about a 5-second gap on Daniel and Casey, who are taking it a little bit easier here. And I don't know if Daniel is going to maybe hope Jennifer gets tired and tries to take that. But Casey coming up on the inside, coming through saying, "Okay, I am not going to let you control my pace any longer. I'm going to try to go get up to Jennifer and see if I can stop her from getting those points," because that is probably a little too close for comfort. 5 points separate them. My eyes, I am despite wearing my glasses, I was looking at the wrong line. 5 points between Casey and Jennifer here. So Casey does just put down some massive power and tries to close that gap. He is within 2 seconds of Jennifer here on this race. Dark Matter Spire, just 2 laps here, and they are coming down the hill of the first lap, and it's just that fast. So Casey said, no, Jennifer, you're not getting away from me. I thought Daniel might give a little bit more effort. I thought I might be able to use him, but I guess he is letting himself float back a little bit. So I am coming back here. So now if if he can take some points away from her, it will flip the position a little bit here. But these are the 2 racers. They might both be going through after this race. It might just put Daniel out of contention. And so now they might just be racing for glory, for fun, we've seen these racers work together in the past on Zone T. So we do know that they are friends. And I think if they do have their positions solidified to go through to the finals on Saturday, that they may just kind of relax a little bit, but they can't relax too much. Casey comes up out of the saddle and says, no, Beth, I'm not relaxing. I am going to make sure that I make Jennifer work for every single point here. So again, this puts him, if Casey finishes it, this puts him on top here and taking some points away from her, which does open up the margin a little bit. So Jennifer might have spent a little bit early on that first attack, but she's going to need to stay close with Casey, use that wheel and match him to make sure that she can get as many points here as she can. So this, as I said, both of these racers look like they're the ones that are going to come through. But that doesn't mean they're going to give up and just make a boring race. These guys are fierce competitors. They have egos. They like to win. They like to race. They like to challenge themselves. All of this racing, this fitness level, this intensity that we see are all just wonderful to watch and on display here. Casey, about a second up the road here. Jennifer trying to use her weight lifted here. This is where it could matter. We did talk about that one power up that when you're getting tired on the second lap, it's just enough for you to hold on here. But if Casey continues over the top, which it looks like he might do, Jennifer does need to answer to that. And if he can overpower her and leave her in the dust, then that might be it for Jennifer. But Jennifer's not one to give up easy. Here we are. They are just 1 second between and 1.2 kilometers to go. They're on the flat at the top of Dark Matter Spire. They just have the descent. Jennifer starts to add the power, does not want Casey to open up a gap here. She's holding on in his draft. Changing lanes, uncrashable is on, so we don't have to worry about them crashing as they change those lanes, which is always something to think about when you're racing. Is this a low skill event? Is it a high skill event? What's to do here? I don't know. She's got a big smile on her face. I don't know if they're like in the game to go, let's go side by side and hold hands and skip across the line. Is this what's going on? I can't tell. Casey on the top spot if he takes this, and she tucks into the draft. 0.7 kilometers to go. I think this should come down to a sprint. I want to see this sprint. I want to see her use him as a lead out, and I want to see who has the legs on this fourth race. You can see Casey starting to spin up for it there. You can see him thinking about it. We've got this last corner, 0.5 kilometers to go. This is a helicopter view. They come around the corner. They've got one more little bend in the road before it's the finish line in sight. And Casey, 470 equalized watts, 186 on his heart rate. They do split the lane. No one's giving either one of them a lead out. So this is just going to be raw power side by side for the finish. He quantum shifts. He has no one in front of him, but he doesn't. So he doesn't need it, but he just goes. He's just using his weight lifted. He fat fingered that, I think, is what happened. But Casey does continue across the line, takes those points, sitting at 203 points there. Jennifer, 186 here, and then Daniel, 164. And my goodness, that was a sprint. I thought Jennifer was going to be able to make a dent there, but Casey puts his head down and sprints. This is one of the few courses where you can really put your head down and sprint, because the game designers and the track designers manufacturers have made these technical courses that make it nearly impossible for you to be able to put your head down and sprint. But that is one of the few courses that you're able to do that. And that was really, really well done. Casey, congratulations on that race. Country Rally, last race of the night, 3 short laps. What are you thinking?
Just execute. Rule number 1's don't wreck. Rule number 2's don't wreck. Rule number 3 is there's only 2 rules.
But we like things in rules of 3, right? So we have to have 3. So I was saying I watched you put your head down and do that sprint, and it is one of the only places in CADE that you can really put your head down and sprint that last 300 meters.
Yeah, that was fun. Had we not been going for big money, I wouldn't have dropped the power up because I knew Jenna didn't have it. That one was reminiscent of me and Frank back in our early racing days, messing around when we'd get off the front. So that's one of those ones where you work together until it's time to decide the race and then have some fun and go after it.
So what happened there with, you and Daniel are kind of hanging back. Jennifer made that massive attack. Were you just thinking that, well, she's not going to continue that and I'll chip away at it? Because it's a very short race and she could have walked away. And it seemed like you were letting her go. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I knew Jen could go away. So I was kind of getting enough gap that I was fairly confident that I could sprint across it without and still keep a hold of her and hopefully drop Daniel in the process. So that was kind of a calculation of letting enough gap go that it was going to be hard to get across, but not so much that it was out of reach and I had to burn my power up. So it worked out pretty well. And I think Jen faded a little at the end, she was out there the entire race. So it worked out well. She executed well. Daniel tried to come across with me. But I went really deep in the middle of that race to get across there.
Yes, you did. Well, great racing. It was really fun to watch. Good luck on Country Rally. Let's check in with Jennifer. Jennifer, talk me through. You had that massive early attack. How are your legs feeling after that one?
Tired. No, I knew, I think in my head, my tactic was drop at least someone in the beginning or both. Knowing that I do have good of endurance, I was expecting there to be an attack, but I knew it would hurt for them. And so I like to get out in the front and then at least breathe a little. And I'm actually okay with people catching back up. And I saw Casey, he put down 1,000 watts for a good amount of seconds there. And I was like, oh my God. So he caught back up and then it was just, duking out. Really, we were just riding kind of together until the end. And that sprint, he did what him and my dad, I guess, used to do. And he totally just hit me with the power up and off he went. In fact, I was going so hard. I think there was a little bit, my gears, I was trying to switch them and they weren't having it. So it was a fun little ending. I'm glad I wasn't within seconds of Daniel there, but yeah.
Well, really great racing. You've got just under 30 seconds here to get yourself together for Country Rally. I'll let you get focused on that. I think Casey gave all of the tips, which are don't crash. The second one is don't crash. And the third one, there is no third one. Just pay attention to 1 and 2. So in 10 seconds, we're going to have a 3-lap race on Country Rally. You can see them all lined up here. 3, 2, 1, and out they will go. And on the front there, we can see Daniel deciding that he's going to he's not going to lose this front group. He's going to say, I'm going to go out with a bang here. I'm going to see what I can do on Country Rally, this highly technical course, but just 3 laps, 2 times multiplier right now. Casey's sitting on the top, 263 points. But we can see Daniel will take away some points from Casey if he does finish in front of Casey. Jennifer, just a couple seconds back here, might be getting barn door. Does Daniel get barn doored? No! Well played, Daniel. Oh, Casey is 1 kg racer. He knows how to hold someone in a lane. That was really well done by Daniel because he was, oh boy, Casey, you don't want to be caught at the barn door with Casey Casey on your right. But that's a move that we've been seeing a lot in CVRcade racing, which is really fun and so unique to the game. Steering, changing lanes, it's a video game. It's a fitness game, right? But like these guys are like physically turning themselves inside out. There's drafting. It's so dynamic when you're playing it. And some of those moments that just don't exist anywhere else on the planet. Oh, flat tire. We didn't talk about the flat tire in the lead up. Each of the racers do have one flat tire. Jennifer there did use the flat tire. And when the flat tire power up gets used, every racer except the person who activates it goes to 0. So I need to take the time and gear back up and try to get back up to speed. So what that did do was it did put Jennifer within 2 seconds of Casey on this first lap. Casey coming around on the first lap here. Jennifer also coming around here. She can see Casey up the way from her. She knows it's just a couple seconds. But if Daniel does not come up, does not look like Daniel will be able to make it through to Saturday. So he is racing for the spirit of competition. He's racing to rep team cognition. We did see earlier today from Modi Bakelny in the interview, his team cognition founder and leader, sort of the philosophy of team cognition and the teamwork that's at play. But with these head-to-head racers, you do not have the benefit of teamwork, but he has been a team player for team cognition, helping Modi and helping Allison get to where he is. So his racing has been rewarded. He's played his role. He might not be making it, but that does not matter because team cognition is well represented in each Omnium. Casey here on the front. It does look like Jennifer slid back a little bit, but Daniel is hot on his tail, proving that he can keep up with the best of them here on this highly technical course. Casey, 388 equalized watts, 187 on his heart rate. Jennifer here, 185 on her heart rate. Watching her pace there on this course here. There's only 1.6 kilometers left to go. Casey's on the front. Opened up that gap a little bit here to Daniel, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Jennifer about 4 or 5 seconds back from that. And with one lap to go, a mistake could happen that could change and disrupt this. Also remember, Jennifer used her power up, but Casey and Daniel have not. So there are, and Casey's on the front. So with his advantage of having that power up, if anyone does come close to him, he does have the flat tire power up. So one lap to go. Ding, ding, ding here on Country Rally. That's my bell. Don't make fun of my bell. That's my bell. Casey, 1.1 kilometers to go, 427 equalized watts. He's coming onto the dirt, onto the tightest corner. Flat tire there by Daniel. Says, okay, I'm going to try. This is my moment. This is when I'm going to try to close down the gap here. So 3 seconds. He brings it to within 3 seconds, and he is putting on the power to try to get to Casey. He did do brilliantly. Daniel did miss the barn door on that first lap when Casey tried to slam them into the door. But Casey here just playing relaxed here on Country Rally, avoiding the hay bales, knowing exactly what lane he wants to be in, staying relaxed, staying in his rhythm zone here, making sure that he just keeps that position and doesn't make a mistake. And again, he does have a flat tire power up. If he did, for some reason, blink, get something in his eye and not be able to see something, he would be able to flat tires competition just to slow them down just for a second. 0.5 kilometers to go. Just a few more turns, and then he comes across the finish line, and he will be taking this other race here on the Omnium here. And finishing in this position, it does look like Casey's going to be moving on along with Jennifer. Daniel put up a good fight, and he is not stopping here. Corner caper, using that to try to get as much speed as he can, but it just might be a little too late. That 5 seconds isn't enough to make up with just 0.2 kilometers to go. Casey in the second to the last turn here, comes across the final turn, does that slide out to the open lane. You can see here's his point of view, wipes the sweat off his keyboard. thumb waving, knowing that he's just taken the top step, meaning that he is also moving on to Saturday, and he's moving on to Saturday with one of the preferred seating. So after today's racing, after Thursday's racing, these racers are going to be moving into reseated for Saturday, and that is putting him in the optimal spot here. You can see here back on board with Jennifer, the smile on her face, coming across the line, feeling good about that. She too will be going into Saturday's racing, and that feels good. Congratulations to Casey, Jennifer, Daniel. Well fought fight. This was one of the hardest omniums. I did race it earlier. I too took the third step, and am not going to be racing on Saturday. So you and I can be sharing the popcorn, cheering on our competitors, helping out our teammates on Thursday as well. And here's the replay. Jennifer coming across the line. Congratulations, Casey. Congratulations, Jennifer. We've got under a minute to our next event here on Electronic Rush. You can see here, you can see Casey. Casey, any parting words before we go to the next race? Just over 30 seconds.
Nah. Well done to Jen. Well done, Beth. I appreciate everything you guys do. Great racing, a lot of fun. Glad I have time till Saturday to recover. And good luck to this next one. This next one, guys, it's going to be a barn burner. Somebody's going to get Barney.
Someone is going to get Barneyed. Thank you so much, Casey. Well done. Congrats again. Just 15 seconds as we roll into Electronic Rush on Zone T. And let's talk about the racers. There's Luis, who is Team Cognition, and he is gearing up. 2 seconds to go. Nigel up out of the saddle, digging in, saying, okay, this is a 3-lap race. Nigel, Team CCC, and Aaron, CVR, Team CVR, also in the mix here. So these 3 racers, out of these 3, 2 will move on. 1 will be eliminated. Who will it be? We saw Jennifer in the earlier race, her teammate here, Aaron. The 2 of them have been dominant in Zone T on this Electronic Rush course. It seems that they have a different sense about the course. They have a different understanding. They have the force, if you will. But Nigel here on the front also says, I have been racing Cade for such a long time. I have been watching every track, 0.5 kilometers to go on this very short, no skill event. And they do have 1 comeback kid. How will that get played? 1 lap to go here on board here with Luis here, Team Cognition rider. We heard about them. He goes up out of the saddle, uses his comeback kid, comes around, slingshots around, but Nigel still on the front. It wasn't enough to overtake, Nigel is digging in, and he hold it 0.1 kilometers to go up out of the saddle, and he does come across the line first. Nigel, Luis, and Aaron. That is 1, 2, 3. Wowzers. That was something. Let's take a look at the replay. You can see Luis make his attract, but uses his comeback kid and gets deactivated soon. So maybe he just used that a little too soon, or maybe a little too late, but he came through, and Nigel had enough in his legs to continue. He timed his right, came across the line first, and then was followed by Luis and Aaron. Nigel, how are you feeling? I don't know if Nigel has audio here. Congratulations. I don't think I'm hearing you, Nigel. I heard you for a second, but now I don't hear. Oh, you're back.
Hello, sorry. Yeah, that was unexpected. I thought those guys would put up a fight. I think what they were doing is sitting off, and they were going to use the comeback kid and slingshot past me. But when I saw I had a bit of a lead, I thought, well, if I can get far enough ahead, I might be all right. And that worked. Oh.
It worked. I'm going to let you catch your breath. Congratulations. Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Fantastic Alien C is coming up, and we know that is brutal with 4 more races in the mix, but well done on that first race here. We also have Luis, who took second. Luis, welcome to the broadcast and to CVRcade Racing. How are you feeling after that race?
Hi, Beth. Good. I was trying to do a different tactic. I've seen that a lot of people have used CVRcade here. This is the first time I ever tried it. I didn't time it quite right. I think Aaron might have been thinking about doing the same thing. We've seen him do that before. So it wasn't enough for the sprint this time, but you try new things, you live and you learn. So I'll try to do better next time.
Well, it's one of those things, Luis, that as I watch and I say, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, oh, the timing was just a little, but I ride the bike too, and I know how incredibly difficult it is, but that you look good. Coming into Fantastic Alien Sea, Luis, Nigel and Aaron, have you sized up your competitors, and have you considered this course when sizing them up?
Yes, I have. I know, Nigel's strong in long races. He can recover pretty well, and then even if there's a gap, I know he can close it. So Aaron, the same thing. I think last time we rode here, I got dropped really quick. So I think the start's gonna be fast. These guys are meaning business, so I think I'll try to keep up with them and then see if there's an opportunity to make an attack.
All right. Well, 1 minute to go. I'll let you get focused. I see you adjusting your headphone. I'm not sure if you've got your teammate, team cognition. Great to hear from Modi and hear about the philosophy of your team, trying to get as many of you guys through to Saturday. Good luck to you here on Fantastic Alien Sea. Aaron, also here in the broadcast here, usually Electronic Rush. Aaron, any words? Just over 30 seconds. I don't want to take too much of your time. Any words?
My key to everything is just pedaling and changing lanes. So that's what I'm gonna do again. Hope for the best.
All right, Aaron, good luck with your pedaling and changing lanes. Your tactics are my favorite. I love them. Just under 30 seconds to go here on Fantastic Alien Sea. We are in another Omnium. You're watching CVRcade Racing. The racers here are going head to head. 2 out of the 3 will proceed to the finals on Saturday and race for $3,000, $1,500, $1,000. There is lots of thousands on the line between this week and next week, and out of the gate. You can see the first 10 seconds of the racing. On this high skill event, there is quantum shift. So the racers were semi-transparent there and they could float through one another, but now they're solid again. And what that means is that if someone bumps into someone, if someone overlaps a wheel, if someone exceeds a corner speed, they're going down. And on Fantastic Alien Sea, 3 laps, it's brutal on the legs. It's unforgiving on the legs. You've got this, you can see in the mini map, you can see that there's this this ascent followed by this twisty, turny descent with technical corners and speeds that you have to be mindful of. So while you're trying to find cover in the draft, while you're trying to execute, make your legs answer the call, you are also trying to make sure that you do not crash, where the other event was a no skill event. The multiplier on this is a 2-time multiplier. There is weight lifted and wind at your back on available to each of the riders, but just one of them. So when they use them and how they use them, there was a discussion earlier today in one of the races about whether you're using those power-ups as an attack or whether you're using that power-up to try to close down a gap. And we talked a little bit about the trepidation of some of the racers where they're tentative and they're not assertive and when they use them. So, we do see some racers who have an incredibly high level of fitness that they'll just make their legs do the work and then rely on the power-ups. But not everyone can do that if they find themselves in a position in the race where they need to use their power-ups to make up after a mistake. So again, I like to use the word offense and defense. So are you Are you using it, as offense? Are you trying to make an attack, or are you using it to try to make up the ground, or distance yourself from a person behind you here? But you've got Nigel, you've got Aaron, you've got Luis, all three of them together here on the first lap of racing. And I think we saw that a little bit on each of the Omniums earlier, where the first lap, everyone's kind of like looking around being like, are you going to go? Are you going to go? Well, I'll take your draft. What? Well, so what did people bring? Because they know. And by this point, if you've watched any of the earlier racing today, you know that Fantastic Alien Sea can really take it out on the legs, because Lakeview Lanes, Dark Matter Spire, and Country Rally, it's quite a lineup in this very short hour of racing. And I say very short hour. It's a long hour of racing. It's a brutal hour of racing. But you do need to be mindful of what your legs can do, or should be doing in this race, to be thinking about the long haul. Aaron just comes around Nigel here, doing his pedal and lane changing tactic that he did speak about earlier, true to form, pedaling, changing lanes, and staying focused. 6.3 kilometers to go. Again, 3 laps, but they are on their descent here. This is where it can get technical. So we've seen this before, where the racer on the front is being aggressive, trying to cruise up to the speed to make someone behind them feel a little bit of pressure, because you say, oh, I can make up some of this on the descent. But if you try to make up too much, if you try to amp that speed up, you're going to find yourself in the wrong speed on a corner that you don't want to be at that speed. You're going to find yourself, but it does look like Nigel's shutting it down on Aaron. Nigel is a very smart racer. He knows the courses. He knows the corner speed. And I would tell you, the last few weeks, Nigel has just been an absolute beast, but so has Aaron, and so has Nigel. This is like, I've been looking forward to this zone as soon as it was announced, because these are the racers that I've been commenting on week after week, the Zone T racers who bring it every week. And I know I'm not supposed to be partial, but you guys are my favorites, because I have been watching you so intensely, so closely, and feeling all of these emotions, and rooting for you guys. So Aaron here on the front, just by a second or two, enough up the road to not give Nigel and Luis a gap. Luis just a few seconds back here from Nigel and from Aaron, but not, I don't know if he's in trouble here, or if he's deciding that he has something up his sleeve on lap 3. 5.1 kilometers to go right now. If they did finish in this position, Aaron would be on top by a point over Nigel. But again, the first 2 races, are only a total of 3 times multipliers. You still have another 6 times multipliers after this racing. So, but you do want to scoop up every point, as much points as you can throughout the Omnium. Every race does matter. Every point does matter. Aaron on the front here, opening it up by 3 or 4 seconds to Nigel, and Nigel here saying, okay, I've got about 6 seconds to Louise. Aaron's got about 2 or 3 seconds on me. I am not going to let this alert me. He's looking relaxed. He's not going to let this alert. He's maintaining his focus. He's racing his race. He's saying, maybe Aaron's going to just spend a little too much here, but if I stay in my zone, and I know what I can bring, I know what I have in the next few races, I'm not going to let Aaron punch out my legs needlessly. I've got a 10-second gap on Luis. 2 out of 3 of us go through. I know when I want to, I can light it up and close down that gap and keep Luis far enough in the rear view mirror to do it. So Nigel does come within 2 seconds of Aaron, being patiently just chipping away at it. But as they get here to this final little punch here, you can see here Luis texting a pizza in, I think maybe saying, okay, not a pizza, I'm sorry. Do they deliver, like, I don't know what they deliver here, Thai food, saying, I'm going to have a little bit of snack after. I wish they delivered ice cream sundaes. I mean, that, like, everyone gets pizza delivered, but like an ice cream sundae would be, I don't know, melted. I guess it would be melted. That's what it would be. 3.8 kilometers to go. Aaron on the front looking really relaxed, just a couple seconds up here. Does work the high cadence there, the pedaling and the changing lanes is working for him so far tonight. 191 on his heart rate. So again, Aaron's looking relaxed, Nigel's looking relaxed, and neither one of them there are they're between 3 and 350 equalized watts. So they're not quite doing a threshold effort here. I think they're all kind of playing this game of chicken, saying like, okay, we'll get our points here. We'll see. Nigel's not going to let Aaron get away. Just a second up the road, coming down this descent with 1 lap to go. And remember, they do have a wind at your back and a weight-lifted power-up. I haven't seen anyone have the need to use those yet, but that doesn't mean that won't happen. So again, on the descent here, minding the lane position, minding the corner speeds, coming around the bend here, 3 kilometers to go, almost done with the second lap. And these guys, I think, maybe learned a thing or two from the earlier Omniums here, and that is to race within yourself here, but boom, this is the spot to use the power up if you need a little bit of a rest going into the next lap, because you have a nice long straightaway before you start the next climb. So you can make up some time here using it, then take a little breath here and then regroup and reassess here. So Aaron on the front, 190 equalized heart rate, 450 equalized watts. He's adding the power. Nigel sees that he's adding that power. That doesn't want that gap to open up too much, does not want to get him away, does close it down within a second using weight lifted, but I believe Aaron still has his weight lifted here, but he does manage to close it down. And then Aaron matches the weight lifted here, saying, okay, all right, yep, I'm going to give a little attack. What do you have, Nigel? What do you have? Bring it. And he drops that power up, opens up the power, digs in and gets a 3-second gap on Nigel, and he is continuing. Now we have seen Aaron just absolutely, there's a replay here of the power up being played by Aaron as a match, digging in. Look at that concentration on his face. He is like, I am a man on a mission. I am pedaling and I am changing lanes like it's nobody's business. So yeah, those are his words. I'm just quoting him. So 1.9 kilometers to go here on Fantastic Alien Sea. That's what it looks like overhead. Nigel, 4 or 5 seconds back here. And here is the leaderboard. Aaron if he takes this race, he'll have a total of 83 points, 1 point above Nigel. And then Luis, 10 points behind Luis. So here they are. Will Nigel try to steal back some of those points on the descent? Does he have can he get enough speed differential to make it up on the descent here? So that is going to be the question. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I think he does. He knows where to add the power here on the little flat before the descent, saying, I can put in the power here. I don't have to worry about the corner speed yet. This is the place to do it. Nigel's really smart. Comes around Aaron, and now he's going to make Aaron answer. He's going to say, Aaron, okay, this is the speed I'm going. I'm going to make you really nervous. Can one of these competitors force a mistake out of the other? We saw this in one of the earlier Omniums, I think with Peter and Niels. Maybe that was the one I was a part of, but I wasn't at the front end of it. So, but we did see that earlier where someone does force a mistake on Fantastic Alien Sea. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Peter because I was really proud of Peter. No offense, Niels. But Nigel here with Aaron. Aaron does use his wind at his back here now. Again, on that straightaway before they hit the descent. That's the other place to use it because you're not fear for crashing. You're trying to get as much speed as you can. But Nigel had opened it up by about 5 or 6 seconds. And then Aaron just waves to the crowd saying, nope. That's it. Like if that wasn't going to do it, that's not going to do it. So he holds his position in front of Louise, is going to cruise down the hill. Nigel just has to not make a mistake. Nigel is in the driver's seat here. 8 seconds up, just 0.6 kilometers to go. So he just needs to just play it smart here and never trust that, he can watch what his competitor's doing, but I never quite feel confident that someone's not going to come around. But just do your thing, Nigel, do your magic. 181 equalized heart rate here. 0.3 kilometers to go into these final turns, uncontested at the finish here. Aaron is soft pedaling here. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's got 48 seconds on Luis, who probably just made the decision of like, you know what, Lakeview is going to be mine. And nice job, Nigel. He comes through the fog, woo, woo, and then up out of the saddle to the finish line to take race number 2. So 2 for 2 for Nigel on top. Aaron coming across the line here, really put the hurt on Nigel, made Nigel respond, held the front of the race, held the pace, and then Nigel at the top of the climb decides to, at that little flat before the last climb, decides to put the hurt on. Here's the replay. Nigel coming down after he's done the work, after he executed his power-ups on that third lap, added the power where he needed to, let Aaron get tired enough to punch out his legs a little bit, and then come through to the finish line. And then Aaron not too far behind, but Aaron letting that happen. And Luis, who did give himself some recovery in that. So going into the next race here, we're going to see that you can see there Nigel going through. Yep. I love it. I've got a little soggy. I've got my own soggy list of notes as well. Nigel, congratulations. How are you? There it is. I love it. The replay. How are you feeling now? 2 for 2 on the night of the Omnium. You're looking good. Going into Lakeview, what can we expect?
Oh yeah, thanks. No, I thought I was coming in for second on that one. So no, very pleased. I think this could be interesting. This one, I think this is anyone's race. This one.
Well, we do have, so it's the highest multiplier, 3 laps. We've got 1 razor's edge, we've got 1 power plant, and we've got wind out on course, a 14.4 kilometer wind on course. So as we watch the replay of the power-ups and on Fantastic Alien Sea coming in to Lakeview lanes, how are you thinking those power-ups and wind are going to come to play?
I'm not sure. You've got to be careful with wind. Excuse me. With the wind on course and the 2 power-ups, you've got to be careful that you don't go too fast around a corner and crash out. So use them carefully.
That's a good tip. Use them carefully. Watch the wind and get as much draft as you can. That's my tip. Get as much draft as you can. I'll let you regroup there, check your notes, and get ready. 2 minutes ago. Congratulations on the win of the first 2. Let's check in with Aaron. Aaron, who put up a monster fight, held the front of the race on Fantastic Alien Sea, but in the end ran out after that last attack. Aaron, coming into Lakeview, how are your legs?
I don't know if I have any anymore. They disappeared from me. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely, I'm still new to this, still getting the endurance down. So I know Luis saved himself a lot on that one. So we'll see how it goes. But just going to race and hope that other people make mistakes and I can come out on top. But we'll see how it goes.
I saw a lot of magic in you just then, Aaron. A lot of smart racing. Good luck to you. It's just over a minute to go. I'll check in quickly with Luis. Luis, you are the most rested coming into this race. At what point did you make a decision to let them duke it out on the front?
Yeah, well, I didn't have much choice. I'm having technical issues here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my N plus wasn't working. So kind of, that time you said we're like spirit animals of each other. I think that's what's happening here. We're getting the same issues.
I will let you. I had them myself earlier. I will let you sort them. Just 30 seconds to go. It does look like, are you not in this pen right now? I'm trying to see if you've made it into the race here. You have 20 seconds here. It does look like you might not yet be in the pen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. I had an Ant Plus problem myself earlier today. 10 seconds to go. I apologize there. I hope I didn't distract you too much. Right now, it's going to be Aaron and Nigel duking it out here, and out of the gate they go. So Nigel here on the front here, 475 equalized watts up out of the saddle here, digging in on the first corner here. Aaron right behind him here. Now, the question is going to be, how well did they prepare for these obstacles? Because they do come up fast, and you can see the wind out on course. You can see the trees. I love the effect. I was riding the other day, and I love the effect of the wind on the trees, and the particles are fun too. But like watching the wind really does help you understand the direction of the wind. All of the riders do have a little compass at the bottom of their screen that tells them the wind direction, that tells them, from where they're going to get the best draft based on that wind direction. And this is a place where you do need to be sure you get the draft if you want to conserve your legs. And it does look like Nigel's out on front, 350 equalized watts, 188.81 on his heart rate. And we will check in after with Luis to see if he has sorted his ant issue. That is unfortunate that he did not make it into the race. I do understand here. We have a couple. Okay, sorry, I was just reading there's something here. So as we come around this first corner, 6.1 kilometers on Lakeview lanes here. Now, Nigel is 176 on the equalized heart rate. This course suits him even on like any given Sunday. I would put money for Nigel on this course, because Nigel just has this ability, this power. He has this ability to just put himself in the right lane, and that is the experience that we've been seeing with Nigel. Aaron, just a few seconds back, I think Aaron realizes that he's going to save some of his energy for Country Rally. Looking at the points here, Nigel is on top, 165 total, Aaron 140, so 15 seconds, but 15 points, but Aaron could overstep them. But with this two racers coming through out of the three, one person being eliminated right now, Nigel does not have to fight so hard for the front, because it does look like Aaron might have spent too many matches on Fantastic Alien Sea. And Aaron is one of our newer racers. So he has been coming up to speed in the game, and he's also been coming up to speed in endurance, because we talk a lot about equalized racing and equalization. And equalization, if you don't race CVRcade, it can be somewhat of a mystery. So let me just take a second to demystify that for you, where equalization is the game is reading your power output for different durations of time. So how much power can you do at your max for 5 seconds? How much power can you do at your max for 1 minute, for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour? And so that becomes your curve. And the curves for all of these racers are what you would say normalized or equalized, so that if you see a racer doing 367 watts, equalized watts, that is everybody's max effort. So that's the point of which that everyone is doing their max 20-minute effort. And then around that, so these racers can have different strengths. One can be more of a time trialist, one can be more of a sprinter, one can be more of a crit racer. And the Omnium really speaks to those different skill sets. So, you have a race like Country Rally that's coming up, and there's flat tire in that one, and someone has to, you have to go from 0 back up to 40 kph. It's just incredibly difficult on the legs to go from 0 to like 100, every 25, 30 seconds, a minute when those things are happening. And then there are races like these, which are technical, where you have to pick the right lane, you have to mind the wind, but you also have to mind the corner speed, but they're flat. They're a little bit longer, so it might suit more of a time trialist. So although the power is equalized, the skill sets are different, and the fitness levels are also different, because as you play the game, your first few times you might race 1 or 2 races in an Omnium, and you are cooked because you don't have, you don't have the legs in the bank. You don't have the engine yet, or the neuromuscular power, the cardiovascular fitness to kind of to do it for more than 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. So all of these racers over the past 7 weeks have been working on their engines. They've been working on their fitness level and their skill in the game. So this is like, right now, you're looking at the culmination of 7 weeks of racing. All of the racers raced Omniums, 4 or 5 races. Some of them did back-to-back Omniums. And all of the time, this equalization is allowing everyone to compete. And it's making everyone go super, super deep, because we've had breakout performances. We've seen so many posts on CVRcade riders about, oh my gosh, oh, he's doing the wave. Thanks, Aaron. That's the wind through the trees. We've seen so many posts on CVRcade about how people have just outdone themselves, and part of the reason is because of the competition. Everyone can have the competition and race and compete. And I think here I'm getting a message here that I'm going to be joined possibly by Frank Garcia here, the mastermind behind CVRcade, as I talk about the game dynamics. Hey, Frank, are you out there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Welcome to the broadcast. I was doing my best attempt at equalization and talking about the physics of the game. Anything that comes to mind when I was talking about those topics here as we're going through Lakeview Lanes?
Oh, maybe 1 or 2 things. But no, I think you do a much better job of explaining equalization than I do typically, because I go off into the physics weeds and calculation out to 7 decimal points, and people's eyes just glaze over.
That was funny.
And so I think the best way to understand equalization is, hey, we all race together. You saw Ellison and Quentin going head to head earlier today. You saw Ellison advancing as well as Quentin, and you saw Jenna going very hard as well. And so you just can see all the people racing together. I can suffer, so I can do pretty well at Cade, but I'm kind of an old fat guy, and so that sort of gives you the sense of what equalization is about.
Well, and I also love the diversity of racing with these Omniums. And I remember when we were starting to experiment with, what the race sets are, but the Omniums have just gotten harder, and they might speak to different tacticians or different skill sets and different strengths and powers. But like the Omnium sets have just been insane, brutal, and hard.
Oh yeah, I think what you see is people are amped. Nigel's obviously got the good sensations in the legs today. All those muscle fibers are on top of their game, firing those electronic signals, really, really well. You saw Aaron just really overcook it. It's really unfortunate that Luis had a technical difficulty because I think he really had Aaron in a spot of bother. I'm pretty sure that Aaron didn't want to cry, but I'm pretty sure his legs were crying. They were just weeping after the last race. And so what you see is people going deeper than they've ever gone before. And then he faded a little bit there at the end on Fantastic Alien C. He was going so good. I was like, dude, you've got this. You're gonna absolutely win. And then suddenly the mind said, that, or the body said, that mind over matter thing, No. that isn't really a thing. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to rise back into your conscious level, and I think you're going to slow down. So, but it's fun to see people. Yes, putting in the effort to sort of get to that spot. And sometimes it can almost engender a little bit of a panic. I know it still happens to me when I go super hard, and then you sort of get short of breath and you can't breathe, and you start to wonder if you are going to ever catch your breath again. And so really the people letting it all hang out in these races, it's fun to watch.
And the other that's really fun to watch too is the racers like out on screen, the personalities that we've been seeing, and Aaron always puts on a good show. And I was saying earlier how these racers are the racers that I've been calling week after week, and how much I enjoy seeing their personalities on display while they are like in so much pain.
Oh yes, and then that whole time you're amped, you're going hard, and then what were the people in CVRcade thinking? They put obstacles in the middle of the road, and you've got to deal with that, and you've got to deal with the corner and the corner speeds, and I was coaching Jenna. And not having to do a lot of coaching really, but on Fantastic Alien, I'm like, watch the corner speed, bam. And the only saving grace was Daniel did the same thing in the exact same corner. So there was a little bit of a phew moment there. But that ended up, paying a great dividends. It was a lot of fun. I was on the edge of my seat in the last zone, certainly being like, wow, wanted to see Jenna go through, of course, a little bit of bias there, but really, really fun to watch.
Well, I enjoyed that race as well. Nigel has made his way across the line on Lakeview. Aaron as well coming up soon to make his finish as well. On Fantastic Alien Sea, I definitely felt like that there could have been just some disruption there. But now coming in to Dark Matter Spire, so 2 more races here that are coming up here on the night. You commented earlier on the earlier races. What did you see happen on Dark Matter Spire, being the 4th out of 5th racing in the Omnium?
Well, it being a low skill event, it has a completely different dynamic in the middle, and it really is more about the legs. And so, really, I thought maybe the most interesting, again, maybe a little bit of my bias showing here, but in Zone S, we saw Jenna just really go off the front, be aggressive, and sort of seal her second place by doing well on that course, and that way she didn't have to do well on Country Rally in the last one. And a lot of the other zones, a little bit of hand holding going on in a lot of these different races, and so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. Hopefully Luis will be in that one, and it'll be interesting to see where we go from here.
Well, I do see I have transported to the racing pen, and it does look like Luis has made it in. We've got 2.5 minutes to go. I'll check in quickly here with Nigel. Nigel, well done here. You're probably a little more rested than you might have expected coming into Dark Matter Spire, but 3 for 3 on the night. You're sitting on top of the points. You're 25 points in front of Aaron. How are you feeling going into Dark Matter Spire?
Oh, I'm a lot more recovered than I was expecting to be. I'm sorry about Luis. I mean, him and I have had some really good races in Zone T, so that's not how I wanted to win that race. I wanted to have, him and I having a good go at each other. So, yeah, I mean, although I won, there's no fun in winning when somebody has a mechanical like that.
Yeah. Yep. No, I understand. And it does look like he's made it back into the race. So you'll have a chance to go head to head with him and Aaron here. One weight lifted in the earlier zone. We did, have Casey say it's not going to make that much of a difference. What is your feeling about weight lifted? I kind of like it, especially on this one with the climb.
Yeah, I mean, we've got one each of the power ups. What have we got? One weight lifted and one quantum shift. So
Window, you're back in quantum shift. Yep. Sorry. Yep.
have we? Oh, it's not.
Weight
I'm
lifted and
showing.
quantum shift. Sorry. Nope. You're right. Weight
Yeah,
lifted and quantum.
yeah. I think if you've got if anyone gets a bit of a lead, it's not going to make that much difference.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Gotcha.
it's
Well,
worth.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's worth a few seconds, and that's about it. Anyway, let's get going.
All right, just over 30 seconds. Good luck to you, Nigel. I'm not sure if Luis is back into the broadcast. That's okay. We're not going to go make him talk. You're working. Thumbs up over there. You're back in the mix. Awesome. My heart sunk for you, man. I'm so sorry. When I came to you, I didn't know you were struggling with that mechanical. Good luck to you. Just under 30 seconds. Go kill it out there, my friend. Good luck to you here. Again, we have on Dark Matter Spire 2 short laps. It's a low skill event, 1.5 multiplier, uncrashable as an ability, 1 quantum shift and 1 weight lifted. They'll go out of the gate in just under 5 seconds. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. You can see Aaron spinning it up, deciding that he is going to dig in here on the beginning. But Luis out in front has something to show and to prove and to try to get as many points as he can here to try to overcome an earlier mechanical on the night here. So as he digs in here, 475 equalized watts. So you can see Nigel coming around the inside. And again, uncrashable will mean that they do not have to worry about the
Past
corner
the corner,
speed.
use your weight lifted, Aaron.
Up. Clip Frank's mic there. There we go. All right. As we come around, Luis is on the front, Nigel in second, and Aaron in third. So the three of them all benefiting from the draft here, but Luis taking on the win, but changing the lane here. Aaron there in the team car. You heard a little bit there into the broadcast here. All of these racers have the ability to be talking with their teammates, to be in the team car, to get some advice. But in the former racing, they haven't been able to, in these races today, they haven't been able to have a teammate with them on course, which for a racer like Luis, who's super strong, but has been able to work with Modi and Allison out on course. But tonight it is all one-on-one racing. 2 out of 3 of these racers will proceed to the final on Saturday, where they will compete head-to-head in a massive tournament where the top spot, $3,000, $1,500 for second, $1,000 for third, lots of thousands of dollars on offer here for the Saturday racing. So these guys are in it to win it. So I can hear his mic. I'm not sure if I think he's talking in the race here. So we will not go back to Frank here while he's coaching in doing the DS role here. Nigel on top of the points right now in this position, 204 points, Aaron 174, and Luis 117, because he did have that unfortunate circumstance where he wasn't able to collect the points. But that does not matter, because Luis says, I am going to take every single point I can. And in the next race, it's a 2-time multiplier. So he can pick up another 40 points in the next race, which would be able to upset Aaron. So if he wins this race and then grabs the points in the next race, he has an opportunity to move through, even despite that, if I'm reading that right, even despite his mechanical. So that would be pretty massive for him to do that. And I know that he has the legs to do it. Right now, he just needs to hammer on through on Dark Matter Spire and make sure that he takes a top top spot. Now this for him is 1 down and 1 to go. But Nigel is not going to go down without a fight. Nigel has just about 5 seconds back from Luis here as Luis is coming across the line, but Nigel is digging in. Nigel is saying, I'm not going to let you get too far ahead. Does look like Aaron has dropped back. Frank, are you jumping in with me?
Yeah, I'm jumping in with you. Sorry. Chuckling. I was trying to earlier just tell Aaron to, pedal, finish the races, and you'll be in good stead there. But, interestingly here, one of the dynamics I didn't really think about until I saw it here is Nigel was, potentially going to set up for great seeding, because I thought, he's going to score 270, but Luis has other ideas about that. And, obviously it's going to be fresh. And so Nigel now has got to go deep into the hurt locker here to try and score those points and set up for good seeding.
That's true. And I was just kind of looking at like the total points on offer. So if Luis does take this race and next race, he can upset the apple cart a little bit. So I hope you weren't trying to jump in. I heard you speaking to Aaron. I'm like, clip his mic. And then if you were trying to butt in while I'm on a tangent, oh boy.
No worries. I was trying to do a little bit of multitasking, and with Luis missing the third race on due to unfortunate circumstances, there wasn't much director sportif that I needed to do with Aaron, but Aaron, I think needs a little bit more endurance built up. So he's suffering one of those things where you sort of bonk on a ride, and I don't know if he probably got home from work, didn't eat dinner, hops on the bike, just starts pedaling away. And the one, as I told him, that there's only one time on planet Earth a human should drink sweet tea, and that would be in the middle of the race while you're bonking, for sure. You just need maximum liquid sugar content to hit the bloodstream, and so he's just in that hurt locker. That's just a whole different sort of pain cave, as we say, where you just got to keep going. And it's like, what, you want me to keep pedaling? Like, no, my legs are like, we're done.
And you don't know what you don't know, because I come from a running background, and it does look like Nigel sees Luis up in front with 7.7 kilometers to go, 600 meters to go here, and it does look like he's got within 3 seconds of him. Nigel is not backing down, but Luis notices that 453 equalized watts, 186 on the heart rate, 0.5 kilometers to go. They're within 2 seconds of each other here. So Luis does have to come around those two corners to maintain that gap. But does Nigel have a little more in his legs? Did he use his power up? That's the question, because that might be that 1 or 2 second advantage that the weight lifted can offer in a sprint. And then Nigel up out of the saddle on the final turn here. He can see Luis up in the distance, 2 seconds up the way, but it does not look like he's going to be closing ground. But he does have a higher speed differential, but he might just be running out of road, 50 kph. But Luis is coming across the line. Nigel smartly puts, but it wasn't quite enough, just within 2 seconds there on the line. Nice effort there by Nigel, not wanting Luis to get away. But as you said, Frank, Luis had different ideas.
Absolutely. And I think it's great that Luis gets back in here. And I know that we might have a couple of spots opening up due to some scheduling conflicts on the weekend. So maybe something grand will happen as well for Luis. But, that was a great race. You see Nigel burying himself to try and, get up there. But just like you said, ran out of the road. And certainly Luis was putting down a significant effort to keep him at bay.
Yeah, and I do love the heart that I've been watching Luis race with, and on some of the technical course, sometimes it's a little too much heart because he's trying to rely on the power. So it'll be interesting to see him now translate and keep that together. But as we look at the replay here of Dark Matter Spire, you can see that Aaron is putting his head down. We talked a little bit about what that endurance means and and his skill level has come up, his fitness level has come up. But this is not an easy sport. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of effort to be trained to be able to do these omniums. And you can see here at the end, Louis taking the finish. But going into Country Rally, where we're not all about power, we're about power, finesse, skill. There's a couple flat tires. Frank, the flat tires, that is just a cruel. Whose idea was that power up, by the way? Oh, I think his audio is clipped. Okay, that's all right. We'll come back to you, Frank.
I'm sorry there. I actually pressed my mute button to mute myself before I started talking. So I got the toggle wrong there. But I don't know who's responsible for that. No one will claim it now in terms of, sort of the flat tire. But one of the things that maybe people don't realize, so we'll talk a little bit about it here, is that in the coming each season, we'll introduce new power-ups, sort of change up the mix of power-ups so that the game is, there's always something to sort of learn in the game, but there's also a lot of, the old favorites, the comfort as well in the game.
Gotcha. Yep. I love the idea of mixing up the power-ups. You can see there Aaron wiping the sweat off his face, currently sitting in second spot. Aaron, how are you feeling coming up? He's got he's getting his sugar. He's letting you know, Frank, that he is getting his sweet caffeine there. Aaron, how are you feeling?
I don't know. If I somehow make it through. Before the race started, I said it would take a miracle for me to get out of this group, and it might have, but I hope Luis can make it in. He definitely has put more effort in and has the legs more than I do, so he deserves it more. But if I get into Saturday, it'll definitely be a miracle, and I'm going to try not to die as hard then, but who knows?
All right. Well, good luck to you. Just over a minute to go. That Coca-Cola will kick in. Luis, well done on that last race. Just under a minute to go. I hope you have everything sorted. Thumbs up. Feeling okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Save your breath. Save it. Just over 40 seconds to go. All right. I want you to have as much as you can in the race. Technical race here, just over 30 seconds. Country Rally. Nigel's been on top most of the night tonight. Nigel proving that CCC is a force. Whether they're racing alone or in a group, they know how to ride Cade. They formed on CVRcade. This team came together, one of the first teams on CVRcade, and they are proving their muster tonight here. So on Country Rally, 10 seconds to go. We saw in earlier races where people got to the corner, maybe would use the flat tire there and then cruise through on the corner caper. So we'll see how those tactics play out. Luis and Nigel out of the gate. Aaron digging in, trying not to lose sight of them. He can see them right there. He's hanging onto their wheel. And this is the first corner. They kick over to the dirt. You can hit this corner pretty fast, but you do need to watch your speed coming into the next corner. And then you also have to worry about the barn door, the infamous barn door. It does look like both of these riders made it through without being pinned up against the door. They do split to the opposite
that was interesting.
side.
I think Nigel had the chance. Oh, and Nigel goes down. But I thought, so a real big turn of events there. Nigel had Luis trapped on the inside corner and could have barn doored him, but he let him out. And then the reverse happens and he goes down. And we see Aaron in second position now.
That is very interesting. Yes, I think that sometimes when you are going through that
flat
barn
tire
door
now, Aaron.
And that, there he goes, and there he comes around. Your mic was open for that one.
Sorry.
But that's okay. That's okay. We saw him executed on cue. Well done. That's a very, very good racer following the DS's mode there. But when you're just saying whether he could have pinned him at the barn door or not, Frank, I think what that comes down to is, like, if you get clear, sometimes you're just thinking about yourself. You're not necessarily like your brain at the end of an omnium. You're kind of like, you're not necessarily thinking about it here. But Luis out in front, even if he does get max points, it's not going to be enough to put him into the second second place to go through. He did have a technical. We'll see what we can do about that. We'll have to have let the race commissioners decide on what the ruling is on that. But Luis is racing with the heart. He's showing that he has the technical acumen. He's showing that he has the physical strength, because what we've seen in the earlier Omniums today is that the racers who had the most preparation, who had the most experience, were the racers that came through. And that speaks really well to the platform, because it's not like, oh, this is the person who has the highest strength, or this is the person who's the tallest, the thinnest, the youngest, the whatever. Like, equalization with the technical skills at play means that the racers that have the experience, the racers that have invested in their fitness to play and do the back-to-back Omniums, are the racers that are advancing for the big prizes that are coming up this weekend. And we've got 1.7 kilometers to go. We do have Luis on the front here with about 10-second lead on Nigel, just opening it up a little bit, saying, I'm going to take this race. Country Rally is mine. Frank, we've seen with Country Rally that the person who gets in the front position does end up having the advantage. And it's very difficult, particularly with just 3 laps on this course, for someone to make up the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of interesting things here, and Aaron has indicated to me that he's available for an interview while racing, which I think means his legs are like, please, can we have any distraction possible? So maybe we'll go to him in a bit. But I think one of the interesting things here is Nigel. Probably wants to dig in. He's got a power up here. Maybe he'll use it as well, because he can still see Luis off in the distance. But that's just the mental part of the game, where Nigel's probably like, you know what, I've worked hard. I'm going to win, so I can raise my hands in victory anyway. Do I really want to kill myself today to go after and try and finish in front of Luis? Probably not. So a little bit of mental stuff going on here, especially after you hit that hay bale. And we'll be able to interview Nigel after. I'm sure we'll do an interview with Nigel after, and maybe you can poke the bear a little bit when you're interviewing him, and talk about, didn't you see that hay bale? That hay bale's been there for quite a while, Nigel. What happened there? But give him some good-natured poking there. But this sets up well, and it'll be interesting to see what the event organizer types do with regards to Luis. We can see Luis has got a tremendous amount of heart, and certainly out here going hard, to seal the victory in the last couple of races. And Aaron said it would take a miracle for him to get through, and I think a miracle happened. If you're Aaron, if you're Luis, you're like, hey, that was no miracle, that was a nightmare. But interesting to see how that played, and that's why you play the game. You never know what's going to happen.
And then we do see Luis come across the line. Congratulations on that win, Luis. And then Nigel using his corner caper to also come across the line with that earlier crash that he just couldn't quite recover from on the first lap. And then Aaron, we'll call him the Miracle Man, who had his sugar fix maybe a half hour too late. But now you just won't sleep. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, but the other thing too that the game does is, even when the points don't matter, even when the Omnium, or even when you're like, you sometimes you just get this tunnel vision and you just dig in and go. It has this ability to make you really, really work hard. And Nigel worked hard, has worked hard week after week. He certainly deserves every bit of this going through, despite a little crash on a hay bale. It's probably the first mistake.
Couldn't resist.
You can ask him, Frank.
Man. What was that, Beth? I'm sorry, I missed that. I realized as a commentator I had the ability to flat tire Aaron, and he was not happy. He's like, "What? Wait, what?"
Did you just flat tire him? Oh, that's
I flat
cool.
tired him, and he totally wasn't expecting it. So having a little bit of fun here at the end of a long day. Tremendous racing. You probably ought to go out and interview Nigel so he can gloat about his victory. But do ask him about that hay bale and if it was moving or what the deal was.
Hey, Nigel, I'm sure you can hear Frank just, poking at you a little bit. I'm going to first say congratulations. You earned it. You've earned it over the course of 7 weeks of racing. One little mistake on a hay bale. You could answer that to Frank, but talk me through it. Tonight's racing.
Yeah, that's very pleasing. I mean, I was expecting a tough omnium with 4 of us, and I can't remember who was it Ryan? Ryan was going to be in this.
Yes.
So
or
I
Christian.
think a real. Was it Ryan Goldenberg?
Yes, Ryan.
Yep. I was expecting a really tough set of races with Ryan. But no, very pleasing. And I hit the hay bale. I was watching Louise. I was conscious. I wanted to move over to the left. And then I realised, I can't move over to the left. I'm going to have to move over to the right. And by that time, it was too late. I hit the hay bale. And then I fat-fingered it and hit it again.
Yeah. Oh, that happens. That's a hard one. Well, you did do a great job on the night. Country rally coming through the barn doors. That's always my thing. Is if I'm on the right side, I'm going right. If I'm on the left side, I'm going left. And if I'm in the middle, I feel like I'm in trouble. So just got caught in the middle there. Well, congratulations on the night, Nigel. You will have a couple days to rest and race on Saturday. Let's go ahead and check in with Aaron. Aaron, you did some pedaling and some lane changing, and it tended to work out for you tonight.
Yeah, it took some other people's pedaling not working for mine to make something happen. But I don't know, if I get the legs down, I think I'll be a lot better. Like this last race, I think a strategy that works pretty well. I think last time I did this and I had legs, I not on purpose, but I actually made 3 people crash just because I got to the lane first and was ready. So I don't know. I think I'm starting to get the tactics down a lot more, but my legs just need to catch up a little bit.
Well, great racing. It was really fun to watch you match those attack on Nigel, hold the front on Fantastic Alien Sea. Really good Omnium set. Congratulations. And let's check in quickly with Louise. Louise, my heart broke for you on your mechanical, but you came back with heart and ambition. Congratulations on the win of the last 2 races.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, too bad. It's unfortunate. I remember Frank saying this morning, technicals are, when you had yours, Frank said, yeah, they're part of racing. It's like having a technical, on the road. So, it happens. But, I feel good. I was able to dig in for the last 2. And, we'll see. I feel good. Thanks to Nigel and Aaron for giving a good fight and for their words. I appreciate that. They're top racers too. We'll see next time if we can go at it again.
All right, Luis. Well, you hang tight and have a great night. We are just winding through the replays here from the earlier racing with Casey and Jennifer here on Fantastic Alien Sea. The replay here as they come around. We did have a crash there by Daniel and Jennifer at the same time as they were in hot pursuit to Casey. Casey played it just right where he gave enough of a gap to get them nervous and make them have a mistake on that descent on Fantastic Alien Sea. And then it was a back and forth affair with Jennifer and Daniel. And in the end, Jennifer does come around Daniel and force a mistake out of Daniel and solidify her second place finish on Fantastic Alien Sea for that second race in the Omnium. But Casey played Fantastic Alien Sea to perfection, kept the gap at bay, saved enough energy in his legs as he was going into the rest of the Omnium, and Jennifer as well, who we have seen absolutely just come in the last 8 weeks from a newbie to a strong contender. And it's been awfully fun to watch her race back on Lakeview Lanes here, the high wind course, the high skill course, the highest multiplier of the night, where we saw the three of them duking it out on course to try to get the maximum points there. There was a 14-kilometer wind, and we did have Daniel make a mistake on the lane there that just opened it up. Casey, that was the expression when I was reading the wrong column, on doing the math on the wrong column. That was funny when that happened. Remember that? And then Casey came across the line to win yet another one on Lakeview Lanes. And then Jennifer does finish it up because of Daniel's mistake there on that lap, kind of just crashing into the barrier, and she was able to hold on to second and take those points. And then the three of them went on to Dark Matter Spire. This was this point where Jennifer did an attack early. She went off the front. She hammered. She made Casey spend something to close the gap. Casey was hanging back with Daniel, seeing if he could take a free ride, see if Daniel had anything in his legs to go chase Jennifer. And when Daniel said, "No, I'm not going to go get Jennifer. I'm kind of done with this," he said, "Fine. The gap is going to, if I let the gap get any bigger, she's going to get away." And in the end, he was able to catch her and then take her on the sprint. Look at that look of joy on his face. He and Jennifer have been friends and compadres. Even though they race for different teams, they've been racing in the same zone. They have such a good time racing together, and they are fierce. Then they took it to Country Rally for the last race of this Omnium. The flat tire there on display here right out of the gate there. Jennifer does not let Daniel come around her. Casey again taking that race there on Country Rally to get the points for that racing. Jennifer does come around, and what I love about Jennifer is she's always smiling and talking. It's sort of like, she's just very relaxed, and when she gets intense, she means business. But then we went to the next zone here, where we had Luis come up out of the saddle, trying to, just maybe a little too early. He came around Aaron. It deactivated his comeback kid too soon. Nigel said, "Oh, it's a short race. I happen to be out front. Maybe this is going to work for me." It did. Nice work, Nigel. Held the position there in the front on that very fast no skill event, made Louis spend some matches there. Then he came running on through to Fantastic Alien Sea, which is, again, the 3-lap, 2-time multiplier race that was a higher skill event where crashing was a possibility. Here on the second lap, we did see Aaron setting the pace in the first couple laps here with Nigel chasing. Aaron dropped the power up. Nigel dropped the power up. Then Aaron dropped the power up, and Nigel does close it down to Aaron. Aaron wasn't able to hold on to that lead. Nigel does end up coming around Aaron. Aaron tries to get back on, using his wind at the back on the flat before the final punch kicker up the climb before the descent, but it's not enough. And he says, "Nope, I'm done. That was my last power up, and I'm not closing it down." So at this point, Nigel just had to protect his position, take it conservative through the corners, pay attention to where he was on the road, on the course. And he does come through the fog and to the finish line in first place after upsetting that race with Aaron. And then after this race here, we did have Aaron and Luis come across the line. But after this race, Luis on that course started to have some technical problems on Fantastic Alien Sea. It did mean he didn't get to the racing pen on Lakeview Lanes. You can see there Nigel was showing us his cheat sheets. We all have them. We all have a stack of soggy paper in front of us. Some of us put them in plastic containers so that plastic protectors to protect from the sweat so they don't get gross, but they get gross. He was smart enough to have them in plastic. So what ended up happening here was Nigel put enough distance between Aaron on Lakeview lanes and maintained his position. He did express his disappointment that Luis was not able to make it to the race, but he did take as many points as he could. Aaron tried to answer and make a stink about it, but it wasn't enough to take away the points. Then we went to the dark matter spire, where again we had one weight lifted and one quantum shift. So this was a low skill event. Crashing was possible, but Luis sorted out his mechanical and had just was all business. Luis said, I have fresh legs. I'm upset, not upset, really upset, but I have something to prove. I am going to put it all out on the bike right now and come across the line first. So he let nothing. His frustration was never to be seen on camera. Always just a good sport, a good competitor, and he just put all of the effort into the pedals on that race. And then we came into the last race of the night, Country Rally. Aaron there, who ran out of a little bit of sugar there about 20 minutes before he decided to get some, have a Coke and a smile. And then he came up out of the gate at the beginning here of the race saying, I am going to be a contender. So, but it all kind of changed on the first lap where Luis and Nigel made it through the barn door side by side. And then Nigel did just end up hitting that hay bale, not picking a left or right decision, making his decision a little too late and smashing into that center pail. And then Aaron comes around. Nigel does use his flat tire power up at the direction of his DS, said use it now to slow Nigel down. It does slow the rider down to 0, and then they need to speed back up. But Luis maintained his position on the front. It was all Luis all the time in the last 2 races, showing the heart that he has, showing the racing skills and acumen that he has. What a good sport, a good spirited, good heart, strong racer. But it was Nigel here coming around in second position, and he did take the Omnium for the night. So it is Nigel and Aaron who do go through to Saturday's racing and compete for the top spot, which is $3,000, second $1,500, and the last $1,000. So lots of money, but we still have 2 more Omniums on Thursday. So you need to be sure that you're watching those Omniums and you've got your bracket. I've got my little brackets all picked up and who's going to be where, and I'm so excited for Saturday. So, but first we have to get through Thursday. So if you like what you've been watching, you like the racing, make sure you click the follow and tune in to see our racing on Thursday, and follow us on CVRcade on Facebook and Twitter and all of the socials. From everyone at CVRcade, I'm Beth York, and we will see you next time.
But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.